Hi everyone, this is Bella, and today we're going to speak about the Spark Archetype 1. This archetype is in transit from November 6th to November 10th. In human design, this is the gate of self-expression. In the I Ching, this hexagram is called the creative. And in the gene keys, the frequency band goes from entropy to beauty and is the pathway of freshness. Our intention with this module is a sacred union between awareness and embodiment. Awareness opens the possibility for choice, embodiment feels into the form. So we want you to, of course, learn things. This is a teaching video. And at the same time, we want you to feel those archetypes and understand how this energy works in your lives. We could say that awareness is the triangle of evolution. So this is consciousness evolving. That's why it opens the possibility for choice. And embodiment is the triangle of involution. And that is when consciousness is coming into form, being embodied. So when you have those two polarities together, that's when you return to wholeness, you return to home, to yourself. And that's when you really can start to live your design and integrate all the different polarities that are in your life, holding them inside of you. And the first place we're going to go to is the I Ching. And here we're grouping all the hexagrams by elements. And there are 8 different elements. You see them here in the middle of the mandala. We have sky, wind, water, mountain, earth, thunder, fire, and lake. And now we are in this sky hexagram that has 3 yang line on the bottom. So there is the hexagram that is made up of 6 line. And when we look at the elements, we're going to have 3 lines, a certain constellation in each of the elements. In this part of the mandala, we have the spark, the rebel, the powerhouse, the Black Panther, the mountaineer, the rhythmic, the hypnotist, and the idealist. To look closer at this specific hexagram that starts this element, we have creative heaven over creative heaven. So this is the pure yang, only yang lines. And this is energy moving through all time. It is the energy, the spark that created the Big Bang, the first of the 64 keys or hexagrams. And if we look at it from the gene keys, we see we have heaven over heaven. So there isn't any geometry like we usually see in the hexagram. So here, the shadow, entropy is empty potential. Gift, freshness unfolding, and city, beauty revealed. The next place we're going to is the Astrological Wheel. And here we're grouping by the 12 zodiac signs. We see that this hexagram, the first hexagram, is in the Scorpio sign. It's the 8th house in modern astrology, corresponds to Scorpio. Here we have transformation, death and rebirth, deep waters, intense emotion. And some more keywords. Scorpio is the sorceress, the shaman, the alchemist. It is service to self-growth through the authentic expression of the awakened heart. Scorpio is the depth of the ocean, the waters of emotional authenticity, and the rebirth of magic. And this is fixed water. I happen to have my moon and my Jupiter conjunct in Scorpio. And I also have my design Earth, which is the first gene key, this hexagram, in Scorpio. And I really resonate with the service to self-growth. And because we are here in Scorpio, we are more than halfway through. If we start with Aries, we are more than halfway through the mandala. So here, it's not just self, like in the first house, it's actually other. So I would say that the service to self-growth, it is something that you also want to see with the other. And this sign is sexual. If Taurus on the other side, on the other polarity, is sensual, Scorpio is sexual. So it wants that deep merging with the other, and the self-growth with the other, and the authentic expression with the other, and the awakened heart with the other. It has that need of that emotional knowing that you're doing it with the other. The Taurus is more about the material knowing that you're safe, and here is the emotional knowing that it's worth it, that there is a purpose emotionally. And it's ruled by Pluto, which is probably one of the most powerful archetypes. And here we are in new quarter, and this is the quarter of mutation, purpose fulfilled through transformation. The mystical theme for this quarter is death. And when we look at those gates and where they create definition in the chart, we're going to see that there is a lot of definition between the G and the sacral, and also here in the root. It's a lot of individual circuitry. So here is about finding your own purpose and following it, the individuality. That's where we find our purpose and our transformation. We can go in and look at all the gates. So with the first gate, actually all the quarter starts with a Sphinx gate, and in the middle of the quarter there is going to be a vessel of love gate. So here you have that the first gate, the spark that we're in right now, and here we have the self-love. So you can already see that those two are very individualistic. So the first we have the creative. So this is the gate of self-expression. Then we have 43 breakthrough, which is the gate of insight. We have 14 possession in great measure, the gate of power skills. Then the 34, the power of the great, the gate of power. And then we have the 9, and this is the taming power of the small, the gate of focus. We have the 5. Waiting, the gate of fixed patterns. We have 26, the taming power of the great, the gate of the egoist. We have peace, the gate of ideas. So that's the first 8. And then we have 10, treading, the gate of the behavior of the self. The 58, the joyous, the gate of vitality. 38, opposition, the gate of the fighter. 54, the marrying maiden, the gate of drive. 61, inner truth, the gate of mystery. 60, limitation, the gate of acceptance. 41, which is decrease, and the gate of contraction, also the start codon in the Arabian New Year. And then we have gate 19, approach, the gate of wanting. And then you see we have another Sphinx gate here. So that's when the next quarter starts. So if you have your sun gate in one of those, you are going to fulfill your purpose through transformation. And that has to do with your individuality. It has to do with you following your purpose, being self-empowered and very connected to those lower chakras, actually. And now we're going to look at the human design in the body graph, and here is where we're grouping by center. So we have the first gate in the G center pointing towards the throat, and like we said right before, this is a Sphinx gate. So in the G center we call it the identity center. It's the sense of direction and love, and the frequency band here is me, self, oneness. So in the low frequency it's all about me, and the attachment to that identity that you have, whether it's an identity that comes from you, or you maybe have an open center and you're kind of attach your identity to somebody else. When you make a lot of importance of that fixed identity, then we are in the shadow frequency, in the me frequency. And then the gift frequency, it's have a sense of self. So even if you lose your job, even if your children get older and move out, yourself is intact, and the self is always evolving as well. So it's, if you get attached to it, then you're down in the me frequency again. And then the highest frequency is oneness. And here we often say in Unlocker Design that everything boils down to the G center. And you could see in the quarters that these are actually the gates that are telling us where we are in the wheel. The Sphinx gates are starting the quarters and the Vessel of Love gates are in the middle of the quarters. So direction and love is what matters as we go through the wheel, as we spiral through life. So here we have this gate of self-expression, and that's where everything starts. So we could say everything starts in the sense that this is the first gate of 64, and everything starts because this is the first gate of the quarter where we have this mutation and transformation. The other archetypes that live here in the center, the confidant, love, the sensual, the feminine, the wild woman, and the natural. And now we're looking at the harmonic gate. So here we're pairing by the theme that we have in this channel. So when we have the 1 and the 8 activated, we're going to have this whole channel so that the throat center is defined and the G center is defined. So those harmonic gates and channels, they are creating definition in the chart, which then is creating the aura type and the inner authority. And the theme here, it's the design of being a creative role model. You're here to be creatively different from everyone else. Have the courage to stand out from the crowd. Be yourself and you will get the recognition you deserve. Your difference is inspirational. The keywords for the 8, uniqueness, trend setting, and contribution. The keywords for the first gate, originality, eros, and self-expression. And then we go to integral human design and we look at the frequency band of the whole channel. And the way we can do that is to look at the shadow of each one of the gates. So mediocrity and entropy, that is disturbance. And then we have style and freshness, that's originality, and exquisiteness and beauty, that is magnificence. So for your channels, I would absolutely go into integral human design and look at the frequency band, because that's going to be such an important theme in your life. It's something that's always activated, that is consistent in you, in your chart, in your life. And now we're looking at the programming partners. So here we have first Jinki in Scorpio and second Jinki in Taurus. And this happens to be my life's work and my evolution. The 1 is my evolution, the 2 is my life's work. So here we see, this is the only one that kind of from far away, you can still see that we have only yin lines in the 2 and only yang lines in the 1. So they are mirror opposites. Wherever there is a yang line in the 1, we have a yin line in the 2. And this is where, for me, these are really the polarities of the universe. I often say the 1 is the eros, and then the 2 is the agape, the embrace, ever embracing love. And then the 1 is that spark that had to wait for who knows how long, for the conditions to be right when it could spark and the big bang could happen. So there is this, in the first gate, there is this acceptance of entropy and knowing that you can control creativity. And the second gate is about embracing it all. Yeah, there is a lot I could say about this. I guess I'll go into it a little bit more in the Gene Key part of this, but we can look, of course, at those frequencies. You know, when somebody has either the 1 and the 2 in their activation sequence, they're also going to have the other one, because that's how it works. The activation sequence is made up of 2 programming partners, and the same things with the same thing with the nodes in human design. You're going to have both. So entropy and dislocation, you know, depression and feeling like I'm not in the right place, that has happened a lot of times for me. And then orienting from my sense of self, and then suddenly feeling renewed, feeling that freshness again. And then the highest frequency, the beauty and the unity. Now we're looking at circuitry. The spark is in the individual circuitry. You see here, it's the middle pillar and also the middle along the sides. Here, the keynote is empowerment. And the circuit is the knowing circuit. So you see, it's almost the same, but it doesn't have the 10 and the 34, which is part of the centering circuit. And this circuitry is all about self-empowerment and uniqueness. So by being you in the world, even if you're first, even if nobody has done what you're doing or saying before, you're here to follow that. And in that sense, you're going to be an inspiration for others, that it's okay to be an individual. And you are bringing the change to the world. We have this circuitry starting here in the 360, which is the pulse of mutation. So from this circuitry, we have change, we have newness, we have freshness. And we could possibly say that the first gate really stands for that spark of the new that hasn't been shared with the world before, that comes from that inner pulse, that inner creativity. And in this individual circuitry, what we do know is that there is melancholy, because when the world doesn't understand you, there can be melancholy. We have, for example, the 2343, which is the channel of the genius or the freak. So if you are not around the right people, or if you don't have the right timing, then it's possible that people are going to think that you're a freak. And that can, of course, bring you sadness and melancholy and the feeling that the world isn't ready or that you aren't understood.